technology which I worked is Spring MVC, Spring Boot, Hibernate, Spring JPA, IVTs, and WebLogic as a server, Tomcat as a server, and Oracle as a database. And this is a brief about myself.
Okay, perfect. What about microservice architecture?
So I did not get the chance to explore the microservices in my current project, but I am started my own. But I will not mark myself as experience into this one. So I'm just exploring the microservices now. Like I'm doing some hands-on, but I don't have a project hands-on.
Okay. So just I will think about the what we are looking for. So a technical hands-on person. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Technical hands-on person who has a strong knowledge of or experience of Java. Mainly we are migrated all project to Java 8.
Okay.
Spring Boot, REST API, any ORM framework, Hibernate, IPTs, or any ORM framework, and the Spring Boot along with microservices. So these are the skill set we are looking for.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start with the core Java.
Sure.
So which version of Java you work?
So I worked on the Java 7 and currently working on the Java 8 as well.
So what are the new features introduced in Java 8?
So Java 8 is a major release after Java 5, and in Java 8 there are a lot of new features has come. Main features which I have worked on is lambda expression, functional interfaces, and we can have inner classes, anonymous inner classes are also there. Stream API is there, predicate is there. So these are the new features. So I'll explain one by one. So lambda expression is something which is anonymous function is there, and where we don't have to give the name, and sometimes it is not required to give the parameters as well. And we Earlier we used to write a separate functions and we used to call that, but with the help of a lambda expression, there is a amount of code to be write that got reduced. We can write the small amount of code, and using the functional interface we can use this lambda expression. So functional interfaces are like normal interfaces only, but there is at the rate functional interface we have to give. If we are not giving, and use of the functional interface is
What is the advantage of lambda expression? Why it introduced?
uh, so uh, mainly the advantage of lambda expression is to have a functional programming using the earlier we were not having the functional programming in Java. So using the lambda expression we can this is the main advantage of lambda expression. And with the developers perspective, we don't have to write like uh, more number of codes also, and it is more readable and more understandable. That way also we can say the lambda expression is very useful.
What is the advantage of functional interface? You are right.
Yes.
So it precisely introduce the functional aspect in object-oriented programming. So functional interface, functional coding is in JavaScript and other language. So what is the advantage?
Functional
Why
interface.
functional programming?
Functional programming. Okay, see, mainly, see, functional programming is mainly related to functions only, right? So in this one, like with the help of a interface, functional interface, where we can write only one abstract method, and there can be multiple default and static method can be there in functional interface. So using that we can implement those, like those will be the interface only, right? We won't be able to give the implementation there, full implementation we cannot give there. So that way the lambda expression got introduced, and
Okay. What is the immutable in Java? What is the advantage of immutable? What is the drawback of immutable? How to create a immutable?
Okay, so immutable, the word itself say that it cannot be mute, like it cannot be changed. So immutable in Java, like we are having a string as a immutable class, where once if we are giving any value to the string, it cannot be changed. Like so, this is the one like immutable is there, and the drawback. What I will say. Mm, we of course we can create the immutable classes using, there will be the class, we will give the variable name as a final, and that will get instantiated within a class, so we cannot change it. So that way we can create the immutable class. And there are I don't see major disadvantages, but yes, of course, we in some cases we cannot change the value that way. So not exactly, but I am sure, but I am not able to explain what exactly I should say for the disadvantages. But immutable we can create, and it is
So
a.
what is the advantages? What is the major?
So see, the major advantage I will say, like I have written a string s equal to new string, and I have given my name. And maybe so what will it happen? It will go into the string pool and it will create the object there. But if I have created the again the same string 2 and I have given the same name, so what it will do, it will go and it will refer to the same value in the string pool. So that way the memory utilization is less, one thing. And the benefit of immutable is, see, it should not be changed, because once it will change for the S1, it has to be changed for the S2 also. So if S2 is not knowing that it is changed, so that way it will not, it will not be good, this is the immutable behavior in Java.
Okay. How to create a singleton?
Okay, so Singleton is basically classes. In our project, we are using Singleton classes for logging purpose. So once a class will get initialized throughout the application, we will use that Singleton class. So main purpose of a Singleton class is once the object will be initialized throughout the application, it will be used. And we can create a Singleton class in multiple ways based on our need basis. Like if we are working on the multi-threaded environment, we have to take care, we will use the synchronized keyword. So I will just give you one example. Like I have write a public a class and I have given the class name. The member variable should be final. So and I will have a getter method only, I will not have a setter method, so nobody can change the properties of those variables. And to instantiate the object, I will use the private static final instance, and I will give the constructor as a to create the object, and that way we can create the singleton class. Hello.
Yes, yes. Okay. Uh, how do you create a custom exception and what is the exception hierarchy?
Okay, so custom exception. First, I will explain you the exception. So exception hierarchy is, at the topmost we are having a throwable. That is, and a throwable is also having a superclass, that is a object class. So then object, then throwable will be there. Throwable is further having a exception and error. So errors are something that is with the environment it will come. Like we are having a stack overflow and out of memory error, and these are the error that cannot be handled. Exceptions are something which occur due to the programming mistakes or due to some abnormal flow of the program. That is the exception. And further, exception divided into two parts: checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. So checked exceptions are those exceptions that has to be checked during the compile time. Whenever like SQL exception, I will say, IO exceptions, I will say, these are the checked exception that has to be handled in our project. And to handle those, we can use the throws keyword with the method signature, and I can give a SQL exception, comma, IO exception, and whatever the exception has to be handled. Unchecked exceptions that do come during the runtime of our application. So those can also be handled, of course, using the try, catch, and throws, and finally block. So this is the unchecked exceptions.
What is it?
And yeah, you said
Yeah.
about the custom exception. So yes, of course, we can create the custom exception. Like I can write class my exception, and we have to extend the exception, that is a super class, so that we have to extend. And the message, particularly whatever we have to give, that we will give in the constructor, and we will like include all the super class constructors and all, and that way we can create a custom exception.
What I was asking, so what is try with resources? In Java 7, there is introduced concept with try with resources.
That I'm not aware. Try with resources.
Did you heard the word try with resources?
No, no, I didn't heard. I heard about it, but I never. I didn't get the chance to explore. But for sure, after this, I will check it. But I mostly worked on the try, catch, and finally run.
In collection case, what is the difference between comparable and comparator?
Okay, comparable and comparator are comparable is java.lang package, and comparator is java.util package. So comparable interface we do use in our all the sorting, for maximum we are using for the sorting techniques. If I have to sort the employee salary, and based on we will use the comparator comparable, and there will be the compare to method will be there, and we will be having a two objects, and if objects are equal, we will get the integer return type, that is 0. If it is lesser than the first object is lesser than the second one, we will get the minus 1, and if it is greater, then we will get the plus 1. So these are generally to implement the sorting, we are using the comparable interface, and we can write different based on the salary, based on the name, based on different way, we can write our own techniques to use it.
In a Spring,
Yes.
what is active wiring? What are different types of auto wiring?
Okay, so currently I'm working on the Spring Boot, and auto wiring. Earlier we used to work in the XML based, and now Spring has so much of annotations available. Auto wiring is basically to include a bean in my current class. We will auto wire the bean. So once, assuming I have a controller and I have to auto wire a service, so using auto wiring, I will add that service also in my controller, and when my controller will get initialized, the same times the
So
uh,
what are the different types of auto wiring?
different types of like the mechanism by name, and by type, these are the different types of auto wire rings auto wired, means we these are the ways we can use it. We are generally using by name only.
What is the qualifier?
Qualifier is something like I have a class, I have a two class of the same time, and I want to let the compiler, let the container know that treat this class is differently. So basically that time we give the qualifier annotation, and by name or by that, so that way container will come to know that this is the different service, or this is the different being is there.
How do you create a REST API?
In Spring Boot, we were using the REST controller, and REST controller is basically a controller which is it is a combination of controller and response body. So we are annotating our controller with the REST controller, and method we will get as a response body as a we can define, like we wanted to have it in the JSON format, we are having in the JSON format, so that way we can create the REST API with the REST controller, and the name we can give it with the request mapping.
Create the REST API. So what are the different points you need to consider while creating the REST API, or you can say designing the REST API.
Okay.
REST control is one point only. So REST is totally based on HTTP specification. So what method you use, what status code you use, how will you manage a version of REST API. So overall, how you design the REST API? Okay,
so with Spring Boot, we are one thing I told you that the REST controller is there, and then like we have to we will have a so I will tell you my flow. So we are having a request mapping where we will give the method name, and with that method name, if any parameters is there, model and all, so that also we will give. In the REST API, we need to consider the status codes also, because if my I'm creating something, I have a student, I will say I have to create the an object of a student in my table. So once the data got inserted into the table, I will be having a success response, and that will be the status code is 200. If in case I have some failure in between, so some we can give the 500 error code, and we will show the error message. And if anything is going down, so we are having a different response code as well, so that way we are handling the REST API in our project.
And how do you manage the version, REST API version?
Versioning, I'm not sure. We I did not understand about the version thing.
So when you design the REST API, we have to maintain the different version based on the business case. So my currently employee has 4 web field. So with the updated data, they want 5 field or 6 field. So we have developed one more version with API for 6 field. Sometimes consumer need both 4 as well as 6 field. So that's good. You don't know version in the API. We have a new version.
I am exactly not sure. For sure, we will be using in our REST API, but I did not come across this one.
Okay, what is the difference between patch method and post method?
Okay, uh, get method and post method, right?
Patch, patch and post.
So post is basically we are using for more secure application. We are using the post. Patch, I for maybe for update. I am not exactly sure about the patch.
When is put?
Put is we are using for updating. If in case existing is it is there, so we are using the put in that case.
And how do you manage persistent layer? So I have
we are using
for many to many association. So how do you manage many to many association?
Many to many. So we are using the Spring Data JPA, and with Spring Data JPA, it is easy to create the entity beans and all. So we are if we are having annotation is already provided for many to many as well, so we have to give the many to many as the annotation, and we will be having a set, we will be using the set there, and we will write our custom add method is there based on what condition.
What is many to many?
So many to many, I will say one customer, and so many customer can order these many products, or there will be the order table, and there will be the customer table. So that way we this is just an example where
so how many tables it will create in this case, many to many association?
Ideally should be, as we are having two tables for many to many, there will be two should be there.
So how many to work in two table?
Sorry?
So we have one. How many to work in two table? First table have customer, second table have order. So how will you map many to many?
See,
I have customer ID 1, I have customer ID 2, and product 1 and 1 2. So one customer have two product, and one product have two customers. So how will you map in database in two table?
um, We will use set for this one, because I remember I have worked on this, and we have used the set only. So one customer, and not sure about this one, but I, yeah.
Okay. So, Spring Boot, what is the actuator? Did you work on Spring Boot?
Yes, yes.
So, what is the actuator?
Actuator is basically to checking the current application like status. So that is mainly beneficial if we are deploying our application in a different environment. Like in the dev environment, we can check the status, but in the production, we don't know what exactly which. If we are having a multiple services running, we don't know which service is up and which service has some issue. So that way, we can use the actuator, and we can check the status, that which application is down and which application is having some issue. So that is our actuator. And to include that actuator in the pom.xml, we have to give this starter template. So that way we can like achieve the actuator functionality.
What is the profile? How it work?
So profiling is basically like in the properties, we will give the profile implementation like Spring like environment. So we are having a three environments like dev, QA, and prod. So once we are deploying anything on dev, and we are having, for some services we are having some different username and password. So we will give into the application.dev, and if I have to deploy that same application in prod environment, I just need to change the environment, and that way the profiling is helpful. We don't have to debug the entire application and make the profile.
Did you work on microservice?
Microservice, I have a very like basic understanding, and that is also I don't have a project experience. I'm exploring my own, but yes, I'm ready to work on the microservices. That is why I started looking for change as well.
What about DevOps tools like Docker, Jenkins, and GitHub?
GitHub, I'm working. GitHub and SVN we are currently working on. Like we are using for the versioning, we are using the GitHub now. And Jenkins also we have just started with Jenkins, because for the deployment and all.
What is the difference in CI and CD? What is the continuous integration and continuous deployment difference?
That way I did not explore. Like I said, just we are explore means starting it.
What are the different design pattern you work?
So I worked on Singleton design pattern, as I said, and like Spring work on the factory design patterns. So these are the few which I worked on.
What about security? Do you have knowledge of authentication,
So in the
authorization?
my current project only, we are using the Spring Security, and for basic authentication, and also like we are using the Spring Security starter template in our application. And if I have to validate my API, so first like we are having some configuration, and we are extending the exist
What is the work on JWT?
JWT.
Mhm.
No, I did not.
Don't know authentication. Yes. How do you review the code? Did you work on any performance issue?
So mainly we are working on this PMD check style. For now, in my current project, we are working on the PMD and check style. We have a set of rules defined, and at the like once we are done with our code, we are
So
checking.
why you are not using Sonarku?
So actually, see, this is a like we are proposing a new technology to our client and our on-site counterparts. So sometimes they agree, sometimes they are not. So as of now, they were not ready for the sonar cube and all. So we were just following the PMD check style for now.
Do you come up with any performance issue till now?
Uh, Not any major performance issue. We did not come up with. Uh,
In now 8, 10 years, you did not come with any performance issue till now. Any performance issue you have aware
So
wants to check your
recently
work?
there was a performance issue with the database side, like we were trying to get
No, I don't want database side. I want on server side.
in past I did, but I don't exactly remember now. But in recent years, I we have not come across any performance issue.
What about JUnit? Do you aware about test-driven development?
Sorry, test driven development. Yes, we are, and we were like writing a test case for the J unit, and we were testing our application. So I have worked on the J unit. Sorry.
That is not test-driven development. So, it's a different thing. Okay. That's done from my side. Do you have a question for me?